Hello, my name is Carol May Whittick, spiritual life coach and your host of Higher Energetic Resonance Inspirations. And I continue the Deeper Knowing series, and this week the emotion is anger. Before we go into the episode, let me just share with you some ways that I can support you. You can join the mailing list to this podcast so that you can receive emails with additional teaching points so that you can then explore deeper on your own personal journey. Also, if you're someone who has always wanted to be heard in the world, whether that means you're going to start your own podcast, start showing up on social media, online in different spaces, also in public speaking, or maybe even just wanting to be able to embody your voice in real life, I've created Your Awakened Voice for you. My course uses a holistic approach to the voice. It acknowledges the intricate connection between your physical body, your mind, and your spirit. And this course empowers you to discover and develop your voice so that it resonates as a powerful instrument of transformation and you can become a catalyst of healing for yourself and in the world. Or maybe you want to work with me on a one-to-one basis, and this is especially for you conscious creators. If you know that there's a purpose to your life, my purpose is to support you confidently follow your intuition and create your big vision. The link to all of these are in the show notes below. On to this week's emotion. The focus is anger. From Seneca. Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it. So what is anger? Anger is usually triggered by what we would perceive as a threat, an injustice, or an ongoing frustration. And it manifests itself as feelings of irritation, prolonged frustration, and also rage. So we have outbursts of crying, screaming, shouting, banging, all of that. We know how anger can show itself within us energetically and also within our body. We may feel tension, tightness in different areas of the body. We'll feel our heart rate elevate, our pulse elevate, our eyes bulge. It's really probably the most visceral of our emotions. Anger can also be something that arises within us when we feel that our needs are not met and we have any past unresolved trauma within us. So understanding the root causes of our anger is then essential for the effective management and then the resolution of our anger. People find it hard to witness and also express emotion because of the way it's perceived. When people are expressing anger outwardly, they are loud, they're crying, they're overly expressive, and that can bring upon a feeling of lack of safety in others, especially when someone who is usually calm then exhibits anger. This is why many people will often suppress their anger, and this will come down to the societal norms of what it means to be a raging person, an angry person. It may also be that it comes from a cultural socialization. So, for instance, women from certain backgrounds or women in general are not necessarily looked upon favorably when they're expressing their anger. To appease that ideal, then we'll fall into playing nice, avoiding confrontation, just because we are in fear of potential negative repercussions and also things like damaging relationships or just having the label of being that angry, aggressive person. But holding on to anger, having unresolved, having repressed anger can lead to physical and psychological issues. The toll of anger will increase the stress and the anxiety within the body and can also invoke a feeling of powerlessness within us. And then when it starts to eke out, it can then show up as passive-aggressive behaviour, or then even issues like hypertension within the body, chronic pain within the body. And also then holding on to unexpressed anger can then put strains on our relationship because we're not able to communicate. So then there's a breakdown of communication, resentment builds, there's a lack of intimacy and potentially prolonged estrangement. So as with all of our emotions have something to show us, something to teach us. So what can we learn from anger? How can we grow from what anger is showing us? Anger gives us the opportunity to confront the inner conflicts, the wounds, and the unhealed aspects of ourselves. Firstly, we need to acknowledge that we're feeling anger and validate that we have a reason to feel angry. Again, going back to the reason why people suppress and often gaslight their anger, because they will make excuses or override the reason why the anger has shown up in the first place. But it's there for a reason, and usually there is a legitimate reason, even if the reason that we feel anger is based off being misguided and not really fully understanding the situation. We've arrived at anger for a reason, and it's just pulling back and understanding that instead of trying to deny that it's happening or repress it. Anger can also be a signal that areas of your boundaries have been crossed. Your morals and your values have been unseen and violated. So in that respect, it's then teaching us that we need to start being able to show up in authenticity, who we are, and say what we stand for. And it just comes back to the reason why I did this series, The Deeper Knowing, is to acknowledge that all of our emotions are just another aspect of our human experience, and we can witness the experience without taking on the identity of those experiences. So for instance, we're feeling anger, we're going through a period of anger, but that's not necessarily who we are. We're not necessarily an angry person. Unless we don't deal with it, then it seeps within us, and people will then identify us as an angry person. When we feel that we are experiencing anger, what we can do is going to the observer, observe the arising of anger within us, and doing our best then not to go into immediate reaction to us. Cultivate a sense of spaciousness around the emotion and become more mindful of what you're thinking. What are the bodily sensations that you're feeling in that particular moment? Is there a way that it's possible to practice self-compassion and forgiveness for feeling the anger? And again, recognizing that it is a natural human response and it's showing up for a reason, and it's highlighting something that needs attention. And the more that we can cultivate a feeling of empathy and understanding towards ourselves when we feel anger, and also towards others when they are presenting us with anger. And then also if we feel anger towards someone or something, understand why we have that target, why that is the target of our anger, and address what it is that has brought the anger up within us about the situation. Is there a way that we can understand where there's been a miscommunication? Can we recognize the frailty, the humanity within that? Can we recognize the struggle that that is showing us? And what lessons can anger give us? Embracing our anger is an opportunity for us to integrate the shadow aspects of ourselves and really delve into deeper healing. It is often showing us a part of ourselves that has been denied. And the question is, how can you honor that you have anger and integrate the feeling and the energy around anger? There's so much power behind anger, and we can either suppress it and turn it within ourselves, and then it will leak out through the sides, often and usually in this passive aggressive reactive kind of stance. Or is there a way that we can acknowledge that we feel anger and move forward with it? Anger in itself is passion about something, passion about the way that we've been mistreated, because at our core, our soul knows that we deserve the respect, and it's not being recognized for some reason. So is there a way? Is it showing us that we have been unseen, and then as a result have got into the circle of frustration that has built into anger? So when we become more aware of the anger that starts to rise within us, what can we do to respond rather than react impulsively by lashing out, saying things that we later regret? Can we take a step back? Can we do simple things like deep breathing, being present in the moment, getting into that state of awareness? Over time as well, if we recognize that we are having this constant feeling of anger within us, can we bring our queries around the anger that we feel into our meditation? Can we journal our thoughts? Can we express that additional physical energy into some sort of physical activity to release the energy, the pent-up energy that we feel within ourselves? Can we also cultivate more conflict resolution skills and work on ways of communicating our needs in a more assertive way so that we don't go into hostility or aggression? Anger in itself, I would say, is serving as a catalyst for learning about how to set boundaries, how to advocate for ourselves, and to grow more personally. It's showing us that there is a way that we can transmute that powerful energy of anger that we feel into compassion for ourselves, releasing the resentment that we may feel towards ourselves, towards the others that we feel anger towards, finding ways of forgiveness, finding that space of inner peace, and honouring who we are and our truth. And if we're feeling that righteous anger for all of the things that are happening in this world, can we turn that anger that we feel then into positive action, such as activism or advocacy for causes that we feel passionate about? Can we express that energy? Can we put that into our creativity? Anger gives us the opportunity for freedom, releasing the binds that anger is holding over us, because holding on to anger is holding us in the past. And when you feel that emotional turmoil of anger, can you find a way of finding serenity within that? Can you honour that anger? Can you see it as a beautiful expression of yourself, of your passion? Is there a way of finding serenity in the face and in the maelstrom of anger? Can you respond to anger with love, with understanding, both towards yourself for feeling the anger, or to others who are expressing anger towards you? Also to reasons that you feel anger. Is it possible to surrender and trust that even in the moments of anger, there is deeper purpose and a deeper meaning there for us to explore, a potential for us to see what it's showing us? And can we find love? Because ultimately, the antidote to all of our anger is love. From Ralph Waldo Emerson: for every minute you remain angry, you give up 60 seconds of peace of mind. Thank you for joining me on another episode of Higher Energetic Resonance Inspirations. Find out more about me on my website. It's carolmaywhittick.com, CarolMaewhittick.com. On Instagram, I'm Casmic, CAZMICK, and on Facebook and LinkedIn, Carol May Whittick. Until the next week and the next episode, take care. Speak soon.